What's up, Silver Stackers? This is Silver Slayer, and welcome to your daily Silver Stacking video. Thank you for tuning in, and folks, you are in for a treat today. I can promise you that. We're going to be looking at Kitco News interviewing Keith Neumeyer from First Majestic Silver, and he talks about why the silver shortage is the reason silver will explode. Hands down, one of the best interviews I've seen in a long time. We are about to watch that right here. But first, make sure you are subscribed because I'm doing a silver giveaway and I'm picking two different winners celebrating 54,000 subscribers. So you better hurry up. The entry video will not be up for much longer. And like always, may the luckiest stacker win. Also, if you want to get 5 ounces of silver at below employee pricing, go over to bullionmax.com/silverslayer. It's only one per household, but look at this deal, folks. A Type 2 Eagle, a 2022 Kangaroo, a 2022 Britannia, a Buffalo, and a 1 ounce silver round below employee pricing. Only one per household. These starter kits don't stay up for long though, so hurry up, jump over there and grab that. Also, I play a game called Copper Drop. In the beginning of every single one of my videos, I show you an ounce of silver and I ask you, is it a cop or is it a drop? Cop meaning yes, you like it, drop meaning no. So this video, we're going to be showing a 2017 Australian Dragon and Phoenix mirrored gap MS70 version. And mirrored gap means this is an error coin. Behind the Phoenix's head, it's supposed to be a matte finish, but it's actually an error. And I got 2 of these bad boys. I was actually one of the first people to show this mistake from the Perth Mint when they came out in 2017 because I picked them up from Modern Coin Mart, which got them first since they are located in Florida. And everyone was asking, is this an error or is it a die variety? They actually made a mistake, but the Perth Mint took months to admit they made the mistake. Very controversial coin, beautiful coin, and it's extremely expensive to have one of these errors because they caught it after about 1,000 coins. But I have 2 MS70 versions of the error, and it's cool that it even says it in the description of the slab that it is the mirrored gap version. So is it a copper drop? Extremely expensive coin. I got mine for the same price as the normal coins, and you know, it's just a really cool story. I love coins like that. But anyways, let's jump into this interview and listen, just listen to how much content right off the bat there is.
And President Biden still has a goal of 100% clean electricity by 2035. 100% clean electricity 2035 and 0 emissions by 2050. How realistic is that in terms of where the silver supply is?
It's not practical. You know, I quite honestly, you know, I don't think we'll ever get off oil and gas. We'll use less of it, no doubt about that. But it's going to take time. You know, do you have an electric car?
No.
No, and I do not either. And I think I only have 1 or 2 friends that have electric cars. So that industry is just starting. How many years is it going to take before all of us have electric vehicles? You know, another 10 years. I have no plan to buy an electric car anytime soon. You know, so at least 20 years before we replace the above ground fleet. There's 1.4 billion cars sitting on the surface of the earth right now. You know, and the auto industry is producing 95 million a year. So at that rate, that in itself is 15 years. That's assuming every car produced from today forward is electric, which is not going to happen.
So a bit out of touch there with the gold, but help me understand the disparity between the projected demand for silver and the projected supply.
Well, your number that you threw out earlier about the 1.1 billion that the Silver Institute has estimated for 2022.
Yeah.
I've heard numbers as high as 1.4 billion for 2022. So, you know, whatever the number is, it's more than we're producing. So these ounces are coming from somewhere. There's a limited amount of silver sitting on the surface in investment forwards. Once that's gone, there's no place to get the silver. So one thing has to happen. Silver prices have to go up. So how long is it going to take for the mining sector to react? It's a decade, 10 to 15 years to get a mine into production from the day that the management teams decide to bring a mine into production.
And yet, even though we've had a slight spike over the last couple of days, this is not reflected in the price of silver. You are, of course, the man that originated the term triple-digit silver. Mm-hmm. It has gained traction with other people subsequently. But When is that going to happen? Why are we not seeing this notion, which is rooted in some very solid fundamentals, translate into the price of silver?
That's a very good question. And, look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but I am a trader. I came from the banking sector. I know trading. I see the way markets work. And, when you see silver and gold prices fluctuate the way they did last Thursday, that was option expiry date. So obviously there must have been a lot of people on the wrong side of that trade who drove down the gold price and the silver prices that day. I think gold had a $100 trading range that day and silver had a $2 trading range that day. That's not natural markets. Markets don't act like that unless there's someone involved in moving those prices. And unfortunately, as long as that is allowed to continue to happen, I've been voicing this concern for a number of years now. The regulators don't come to the and look at what's really going on in these paper markets, because unfortunately, as a mining sector, we have to rely on the paper market for pricing our commodity.
Right.
If somehow we can get away from the paper market and price our market based on actual supply and demand, where we can actually deal with the end user directly, whether it's a Sony or Panasonic or a Tesla or BMW, you name the consumer. I think that's where we need to go, and that's where we get proper pricing, and that's what I'm pushing.
I'm sure you can now understand why this is one of my favorite interviews and also why I wanted to cover this in a video. Keith broke down so much important stuff that I want to, branch off of. And also, the questions were just spot on. First, he talks about the shortage. He goes into, do you have an electric vehicle, which silver is heavily going to be used in these EVs, right? Every automobile company by the year 2030 is going to go electric, zero net emissions by the year 2050. All this stuff that's happening is going to require a lot of silver. PV cells, photovoltaics, that's used in the solar panels for this zero net emissions, also with the electric vehicles. But we also have 5G towers, silver lithium ion batteries, so on and so forth. That's all going to require so much silver. They even pulled up the graph from the Silver Institute. 1.112 billion ounces was the demand this year. And Keith even said, we are not producing that much silver. And actually, it could be up to as high as 1.4 billion. Those numbers aren't always accurate and probably rarely are. So low supply, high demand shoots the price up. But he even goes deeper into that thought. He goes, well, there's a lot of other things affecting the price of silver beyond just the fundamentals of supply and demand. He doesn't say price manipulation. He does not say suppression or rigging. But he does say, hey, I'm a trader. Look at that chart. That's not natural. And until we can get that natural, the natural fundamentals of something that has intrinsic value that's tangible like precious metals, we're going to unfortunately see a lot of manipulation. And I like how he doesn't specifically use that word, but JP Morgan, which is the shadiest bank in the world, are known for spoofing. Spoofing is placing a false buy order or sell order on these exchanges, canceling the order before it goes through, manipulating the price to their narrative. Now, that is manipulating the price of silver. They have gotten caught several times throughout the last couple decades. It's actually very illegal, highly illegal. 3 of their employees got sent to prison over the last year. They've gotten fined billions of dollars. The last one was $900 million. And finally, judges are starting to crack down on this more. People are actually going to prison now. So maybe it will lessen the amount of price manipulation. It's always going to go on. But supply and demand will always outweigh that type of stuff. And looking at the amount of silver we're going to need over the next decade, I mean, imagine this year was 1.112 billion ounces. Imagine when the Green New Deal's in full effect, the entire globe going solar. Imagine when every automobile company is going to be electric. That's going to be 4+ billion ounces, but we're already having a hard time producing or keeping up with this demand. And we haven't even started yet. It's not even the beginning. Like he said, I'm not going to own an EV for probably, my next car. So this explains a lot. It explains a lot. It explains why the price hasn't really pushed yet, especially looking at price manipulation, but also the time frame. I say, and like she called him, and by the way, Keith, if you're watching this, I would love to interview you on the Silver Stacking podcast. I have a podcast. Me and my co-host, Investing with TJ, or either one of them. I would love to interview them. This goes exactly to what I preach on this channel: is silver scarcity. More than the dollar index, more than all that stuff, the silver shortage is what's really going to push the price of silver up. That is when the dollar index, stock market volatility, even gold itself, no matter what those things do, silver will take on a life of its own. There's a reason why my name is Silver Slayer, not Gold Slayer. There's a reason why it's called First Majestic Silver, not gold. There's a reason for these things. And it's beyond just silver being a safe haven. There's real reason, there's real potential. And Keith went into so much, hit the nail right on the head. And that was just a segment of this interview. There's also a part here where they go into, is the war good for silver? So I might make a video on that later, but there's already just so much that he broke down in a couple of minutes. I wanted to make a full video on it. Okay, let me explain something else for you guys. Silver, it's not just a monetary metal, it's an industrial metal, where gold, not so much. Gold is used for jewelry, coins, necklaces, bars, earrings. So most gold is recycled, re-scrapped, reused. That ounce of gold that gets dug up out of the ground is going to stay in circulation for decades upon decades, because they're going to pawn their grandma's earring or necklace, or they're going to sell that, or even scrap gold out of laptops and cell phones. I used to do that myself. And then that gets melted down into more watches or jewelry or rings or earrings. Silver, since it's also an industrial metal, is used for laptops, cell phones, dental alloys, space equipment, medical wall paint. It's used for photovoltaics. It's used in everything, even mirrors. So that silver's thrown away, never to be recycled. So most silver that gets dug up is actually going to be thrown away within a couple decades. And what makes it even worse is silver's a byproduct. They look for gold, lead, and zinc. Silver is found by accident. When they're looking for that gold or whatever, if they find some silver, they'll take it, but they're not looking for it. So the gold to silver ratio is 8-1, but it's actually much smaller than that when you also incorporate silver's life expectancy. Silver recycling is going to have to kick into gear, whether it's mining innovation out of the Earth's crust, whether it's kicking down our door and stealing our safe, or if it's space mining. One of those has to happen. Low supply, high demand pushes the price up, like he said, but one of those has to happen, because do you really think Elon Musk or Joe Biden's going to come out and say, yo, the Green New Deal isn't going to happen because we don't have enough silver? Silver's literally the most important thing on the earth right now. It's honestly going to be, I guess, the outcome of how long the earth lives. If we're talking about global warming, pollution, we're talking about zero net emissions by 2050 to save the earth, but we can't because of we don't have enough silver. What do you think the value will be when people realize that? They're not going to realize it yet, though. Look at the electric vehicle thing that he talked about. Every automobile company by the year 2030 is going to be electric, but we still have so many vehicles now, and they're so cheap and affordable, and electric vehicles are so costly that that's not going to kick into gear for several years. I say triple-digit silver by the year 2026-ish, because that's when the Green New Deal will be in full effect. That's when that's when a lot of automobile companies will be going electric, right? That's when silver is really going to be needed. We haven't even started yet. So, on that note, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Like I said, amazing interview. In that little 3-4 minute segment, he broke down so much stuff that most silver articles, whatever, don't cover in weeks or months. And he did it in a couple of minutes. That is my narrative. That is what I preach. That is really the meat and potatoes of why silver is so explosive, in my opinion. We can look at CPI data. We can look at, the COMEX. We can look at the SLV. We can look at all that stuff. We can look at what gold's doing. But there is reasons far beyond those that explain why silver has so much potential beyond gold and all these other investments. So I'm going to wrap that video up here. If you thought this video was 1, educational, 2, informational, 3, at least entertaining, make sure to hit the like button. Share this video with Keith. Share this video with any of them. I really want this to get seen because what Keith explained is so important for silver stackers to understand. It explains silver's true value, right? And if you understand silver's true value, whether it goes to $10 or $50, it's not going to matter because you're still going to be buying it because you understand that even if you buy it, let's say $30 like the Wall Street silver movement last year and it's down to 24, you're not scared, you're not worried, you're not going to panic sell because you know that silver's worth a lot more than $25 right now. And if you don't know that, then you obviously don't understand, 1, the true value of the dollar, and 2, the true value of silver, and that's extremely dangerous. Silver's worth a lot more, and like the lady called him, he is known as, or started the word, triple-digit silver. And there's a reason for that. He's not just throwing that word out there just randomly or just for no reason. There's real reasons, and the data backs it. But price manipulation, the word he didn't say, is real, but there will be a day and age where no matter what stock markets do, no matter what the dollar index is doing, no matter what any of that is doing, silver will move on its own. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.